Hey guys, what's up? It's JGigs, back with some more Summoner's War. Today I'm going to talk to you about Giants. Giants is the first dungeon that you will be farming regularly. It's the first one you'll have a team for the 10th level of the dungeon for. And it's your first big step in transitioning to mid-game from early game. So it's one of the big steps anyway. So Giants is a very important dungeon. It's very important to be able to farm. And what I'm going to try to do today is give you the idea behind building a Giants team, rather than say you need Veramos and you need Bernard and you need Jasoon and you need whatever monster it is that people like to plug into a team. I'm gonna do my best to explain to you what types of monsters need to fill what roles, and give you examples of those monsters, and kind of give you a template, because nobody knows your monster box like you do. You summoned all your monsters, you put all the runes on your monsters, you've worked with your monsters, you know what they're capable of, you know what they do. You should know how they work with other monsters in your box. So that's what I want to do. I want to help you understand Giants so that you can build your own team based on what you have available to you. Because again, everybody has different monsters, and everybody has different runes and all that. So let's go ahead and get into it. Also, I'm trying some music in the background, and I'm trying out the little thing at the bottom of the screen there that says what song it is and all that. I did my best to make it look right. It's just a little window capture, but so I couldn't really customize the letters the way I would like to. But well, just let me know how you like that. If you want me to keep doing the music in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let my Giants team run a few times while I talk. I'll explain to you real quick why I use this as my Giants team and why it works so well. Sig, the 44% HP in dungeons, is beautiful. I've got him on Fatal Offset. He's got pretty high attack, pretty high crit rate, decent crit damage, and about 14,000 HP. So I'm in the process of skilling him up. He's just my damage dealer. He's the HP boost and the damage dealer. He also does an attack break, but I'll get more into detail about that as I get into the runs. You've seen my Veramos is on Violent, 25,000 HP, 24,000 HP, 174 speed. My Shannon is on Despair Focus, 20,000 HP, 188 speed. And the Monkey King, who I just max skilled and re-runed, I'm very happy with him. The only thing now I would like to change is for these to be violent, but I've got him at 22,000 HP, 700 attack. So I'd like his crit rate higher. I've still got a ways to go with him to get him where I want him, but I gotta say, man, he is just owning since I re-runed him and skilled him up. And then my Bella's on Swift, 190 speed, 25,000 HP, close to 26. So that's my team. Like I said, I'm just gonna let them run while I talk. So here's the components of a team that you're gonna want. Here's what you need in a Giants team. You need cleansing, because the Giant, one of the things you need to know about the Giant, if you don't already, is that he hits really hard. He hits really hard, and one of his towers puts a defense break on him. And I believe the other tower puts the attack buff on him. So, if the Giant hits you without an attack buff, and without defense break on you, it's going to hurt bad. If he hits you with a defense break on, it's probably going to kill you. And if he hits you with an attack buff while you have defense break on, it's definitely going to kill you. So unless you're later game, if you're watching this video, that applies to you pretty much. If you're later game pulling Guardian and you've got these monsters that have 50,000 HP, that doesn't apply to you. But anybody around my level or earlier, if the Giant hits you under the circumstances, it's a wrap. So you're going to need a cleanse for sure. Veramos handles the cleansing for me and for a lot of people, so if you haven't fused him, I definitely recommend it. However, there are other monsters that cleanse. A great example of one that's not hard to get your hands on is Konamiya. He's the Water Garuda. He's a natural 2-star, and he's not hard to rune. He's not hard to get, and he's a full cleanse. He's got a skill that completely cleanses the whole team. So he's a good example, but you're going to need a cleanser in some fashion. You're also going to need a healer, because again, you're not going to go into the Giant's dungeon and nuke him down in one turn. So he is going to hit you. He is going to hit you hard and do damage, and you are going to have to be able to sustain. And you're not going to do it without a healer at this point in the game. So if you've managed to pull a Chasun, she is wonderful. She's wonderful for Giants. If you have not, then Konamiya again is another example. He's got a pretty good heal, and he cleanses. So now we're talking about bringing 2 things to the table, and that's another thing we're going to touch on later is bringing monsters with you that bring multiple things to the table. Bella is another good example. If you haven't gotten a Bella yet, I recommend next light dungeon day, get in that chat and find somebody with a dungeon that'll add you. It could be hard, it could be very annoying, but he is worth it. He is useful in all areas of the game. He's a must-have. Not necessarily a must-have for Giants, but he makes everything easier. So you need a healer. The next thing we're gonna talk about is dots, damage over time, and that's the little skulls that get put up on the enemy. The Giant has a lot of HP and a lot of defense, so he's, like I said, you're not just gonna come in here and nuke him down. So the best way to deal with him is to put dots on him. So any monster that does that, any of the Ifrits put dots on with their first skill. I think Megan puts dots on with her first skill. The Wind Ninja, if you've managed to pull one of those, his 3rd skill puts potentially 6 dots. You know, if you can rune him up to where he can survive a few hits while he waits on a heal, he's a Giant Slayer. He's a bad dude at Giants. Those dots are very beneficial. But anybody that can do that for you is going to be useful, because you can't go in here relying solely on damage. You're going to have some dots helping you get his life in. You're going to need a buffer, and this is someone who puts attack and or defense buff on your team. I would say defense buff is priority though, so if you only have someone that does defense buff and only someone that does attack buff, go with defense buffer, because you need that defense buff. It's really amazing the difference in the damage the Giant will do to me if Shannon has not buffed versus when she has buffed. Which brings me to an example of a buffer. Shannon is just amazing for this. She's a 2-star. She's wind, so she has the elemental advantage, so that gives her a little more survivability, and she does attack and defense buff, among other things. Shannon is a great monster for Giants because every skill she has brings something to the table. Her first skill puts glancing on, and anything you can do to weaken the Giant's attack or increase your chances of taking less damage they greatly increase your chances. So she puts glancing on with her first hit. She slows attack speed with her second skill, and the Giant is already relatively slow. So if your monsters have decent speed and she puts attack speed slow on them, again, it's gonna up your chances. Especially if you have somebody like the Wind Ninja, who you're relying on that 3rd skill. The more turns you can get, and the less turns the Giant can get with that Wind Ninja, the better opportunity you're going to have to take him out. So, and then her 3rd skill is the 3 turns of attack buff and defense buff, which is again just wonderful. Another great monster for this would be Megan, the Water Mystic Witch. She has the 2-turn attack and defense buff, and she also has the attack bar boost with that skill, and she puts dots on with the first skill, and then her second skill she strips beneficial effect and makes him what's it called? I don't know what it's called, but it makes him unable to get a beneficial effect for the turn. I can't remember what that's called for some reason. But So Megan's another good example of a monster who's bringing something to the table with all three skills. Good stuff, yawn. That's the theme of my videos. I guess I'm just going to yawn on all my videos. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about, I mean, that's an energy rune, though. I don't really... I'll keep it, just to play, just to roll it and see how it rolls. But next thing we're going to talk about is defense break. Defense break is important because without it, you're not going to do much damage to the giant at all. And while you're not coming in here relying solely on damage, it is helpful to be able to have your hits have an impact on him. And without defense break, he's just shrugging you off. Like he doesn't care. So with a defense break, it allows you to do a little more damage while you're putting dots on. So anybody that has a defense break, Bella's a great example. His first skill puts defense break. I believe the Kung Fu girls now put defense break on their first skill. So any monster you can get your hands on with a defense break is going to be useful to you. The reason Bella is such a great example is, again, because he's bringing something to the table with all three skills. Defense break on the first, strip on the second, heal and attack bar boost with the third. So he's a great monster for that spot. And then a stripper is something else you're going to want, because you're going to want to pull that attack buff off of the giant as often as possible. Because again, anything you can do to lessen the amount of damage he's putting, whether it's attack break, stripping the attack buff, putting glancing, putting defense boost 18, all these things are very important when you're dealing with giants, because he hits really hard. So you need to figure out a way to neutralize that. So those are all the things you're going to want in a team. So now it's up to you to go into your box and find monsters that bring these things to the team. That's 6 things you want, and you have 5 monsters. So the more monsters you have that bring more than one thing to the team, the better, the more likely you are to be able to start clearing giants. It's also important, your turn order is also important. So as you can see, my Bella goes first, then my Shannon goes, then Veramos goes, and then my attackers go. Now I'm in a situation where I can do a reasonable amount of damage to the giant with my nukers, but I also have Veramos putting dots on. So I'm hitting him from both angles, and that's why my run times have gotten better. I'm usually fall between the 2 and 3 minute window. Now, just probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, my runs were closer to 4 minutes, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you clear giants for the first time on auto, if it's giants B10, or whatever giants dungeon you're farming, I'm trying to do this in a way where it gives you the idea of how to deal with the giants dungeons, but I'm obviously specifically focusing on B10 because that's the ultimate goal. But it doesn't matter if your runs are 5 minutes. You know, you're still, that's just what you got to do. My first team, for example, was Vero lead, Theo, Chisoon, Shannon, and Bella. And those runs were typically like 4.5 minutes. But they could do it. And that's where you start. You find a team that can do it, and then you start farming these runes. And you get runes, and you make your monsters better, and you start trying to plug in different monsters, and you'll find what works. You know, I could plug Lucian in to where my Monkey King is, and maybe occasionally the runs would be a little faster, but I'm also going to not make it sometimes because Lucian is so squishy. So my Monkey King is the option for me. I can deal with 2.5 minute runs, but if your runs are 5 minutes or however long they are, it doesn't matter. The important thing is to start beating it and getting these runes, and getting the mana stones to upgrade these runes. The reason that Theo is not a great option is because he's got that second skill that hits 3 times, and the giant will also counterattack every 6 times, I think it is, that he's attacked, and he hits really hard. So Theo was increasing the amount of times that would happen. So that's why I had to bring Chisoon and Bella, because I was getting hit more I needed more heal, but in turn I was hurting because I wasn't able to put as many dots and do as much damage. So that's really it. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Just look for monsters. You know, some great examples of monsters that are not hard to get are Shannon and Kona and Bella. Bella can be kind of hard to get. Veramos you can fuse. You don't have to have Sig or the Monkey King in the spots that I have them. You don't have to have any of these monsters, to be honest. Veramos is a huge help because of that cleanse that doesn't require a cooldown. You know, he cleanses at the beginning of every turn, and the giant only really puts that defense break on. So I'm sure there are a couple of other harmful effects, but primarily that's that defense break that you're concerned about. Pharaoh's going to get rid of that for you. Shannon, again, all 3 skills. Bella, again, all 3 skills. Megan, all 3 skills. You know, find monsters that have multiple uses in dungeons, and figure out how to get them to work together. Get your turn order right, and you know, you should be able to figure it out. So that's really kind of it. That's all I really wanted to cover today. I didn't want to say do giants with these monsters, build this team and get these runes on them, because again, I know everybody doesn't have the monsters. Everybody doesn't have the runes for those specific monsters. So I wanted to kind of give you more of a template and give you more of an idea of how giants works and what you need to take into giants so that you can go into your monster box and piece it together for yourself. One, because I think that's a better way to approach it, and 2, because I think it's good for you to have to go in and get to know your monsters like that, to learn what they do and how they work together. You know, you'll have a lot more success the better you get to know your monsters. So that's it. That's all I'm covering today. I appreciate you watching. I really do hope it was helpful. If it was, like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that jazz. Any questions you have in the comments, I'll be happy to answer. If you would like me to take a look at your monsters and help you build a team, I'm more than happy to be as involved as I'm able to be with you and help you guys progress in the game. And that'll do it. So again, I appreciate you watching. I hope it helped, and I'll see you guys soon.